Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are having an awesome Thursday. Today's the last day of 2020. Celebrate yourself for making it through a very challenging year. So today's word of the day are thoughts. And it depends if you're kind of like me. I really was like, well, what are thoughts? It's just the things that we think that kind of come up on our mind. It's just normal or, they kind of just come on their own. But in reality, the thinking is kind of like manipulating information from the concepts that we have learned or from problem solving that we've had to do in the past. So thoughts is, basically the way that we engage a problem. How do we solve a problem? How do we make decisions? And our thinking is a programming that has been built or we have built since we were young, depending on, our religion, our cultural background, our ethnicity, our parents, just a lot of the nature versus nurture, right? The psychology behind things, which is obviously kind of like, the analysis of like behavior and actions and thinking patterns. But the reason that I wanted to talk about thoughts today is because if you look around you, everything at one point was thought by you. I know when I heard that, I was like, wait, what the fuck? I didn't think about this. But it's things that you, I guess, you thought about at a point. Didn't really understand that you were creating that reality as you were thinking of things. And thinking or thought is definitely one pillar to, either your successes or your failures. I don't really like to use that word because I believe everyone is successful. Money and materialistic things don't define success. In my opinion, success is someone who is free of that mental chatter. But I will use that to kind of just relate. So, for example, for me, I have been in my relationship for 10 years. And for the longest time, my relationship was just very shitty. It was just very shitty. And I kind of just stayed. And I didn't really realize why or what was going on. Well, obviously were my thoughts. I grew up thinking that I had to stay with my partner no matter what. No matter what the situation was, no matter what the circumstance was. And I know it was very easy sometimes for people to say, oh, well, if I was in your position or if I was in their position, and it's like, I get it. But unless you were actually walking my walk since the beginning of life, no, you wouldn't have done anything differently. And so why was in this relationship? Well, it's because I thought that that's just the way that things were supposed to be. I had to stick with my partner no matter what. But as time came by and changed and I decided to look within myself and understand myself better, I realized that they were just thoughts. It was just the fact that I didn't love myself, that I thought I should stay, and that I thought no one was going to love me better, and that I thought this was the relationship for me. All of this thinking, right, that is shaped since I was younger. And I'll tell you now, fast forward these last couple of years where I've definitely been digging deep into my soul more and more, I've come to realize my relationship is fucking good. I have a good ass relationship, but I had built a big wall, right? I was already hurt. I had already been broken, heartbroken, and just all of these other things. So I just thought that, this relationship wasn't going to work. I really did. I seeked out like some relationship coach, and I was like, I don't think I want to be with this person, and I was just creating this narrative. I was just creating this story about this person. But I'll tell you something, the moment that I decided to see him for a human being and understand where he comes from and what he's been through, it makes me realize he's doing the best that he can with what he has. So how can I expect my partner to go above and beyond when I'm not going above and beyond? I'm not loving myself. I'm not respecting myself. So how is it that I want the same thing from someone else? And it's these thoughts, it's the manipulation that we should be able to, or that you compare. So I kind of knew this word was going to be a very complex word. Like I said, it's a pillar of like life, right? Whether growth, or you kind of stay where you are. But thoughts really do shape your reality. The moment that you start to think that you are worthy of, you see all of the trajectory of life that you've overcome, you start to get this strength of like, oh my goodness, like I have been through so much. I have survived so much. I am worth it. I am worth of love and attention and affection. And of course, it's all in the thought. Once again, the way you think. And, I have so much life experience that I can talk about, but I did want to share that with you guys about why it's so important. It's so important to change your thinking if you really want a better life. If you want a better life with anyone, whether it's an intimate relationship or it's just simply work, you want to have better patterns of thinking. And I've heard many people say, well, this is how I am, and it's like you're limiting yourself. You're keeping yourself in a box by saying this is how I am. So think yourself outside the box. Do things that make you afraid. And I'm not saying, go to the jungle and stay out there for the weekend without no food, right? I'm not saying put yourself in physical danger. I'm saying put yourself in a mental place where you are going to have to force yourself to think outside the box. Sign up for that class that makes you scared. Take that leap of faith and apply to that job that you think you're not qualified for because a piece of paper says it. These are the limiting beliefs that we have, and they all have to do with our thinking, the way that we think. Sometimes, for example, myself, in the past, I would look at myself in the mirror and say, oh my God, I feel, fat. Take it. Obviously, I'm not fat, but it's all in the thought. I put on a fucking pair of pants. The pants didn't fit me. So now I'm feeling like I'm fat. I'm thinking I'm fat. So now this thought has created this feeling. And you don't want to do that. Thoughts are so powerful. So I'm here to just make sure you understand how strong your thinking is. How it truly is so strong. You can think yourself into a whole new life a year from now. Because thinking is kind of like creating a movie, right? Your brain doesn't know, at least your subconscious mind, the mind that actually takes over the rest of your body and your habitual patterns on a daily basis. Your mind doesn't know whether it's real or not. It's just on command. So whatever you tell it, it is going to do. The moment that you say, the moment that you think and you start saying kind of like, oh, I'm happy. I can definitely say that's what got me into this path of happiness. I used to, long for happiness. I was so broken. I was just like, fuck, all I want to do is feel happy. That's all I want, is to be happy. And for the longest time, I just kept thinking of happiness and how can I be happy, and, seeing something happy from even the most shittiest situation. And now I'm like, ding, I'm here. I'm always freaking happy. It's just such a natural state for me to be very, very happy, and I just want to always give it back. And it really all does come down to your thinking. If you're thinking limited, you're gonna be limited. If you're thinking abundantly, you're gonna be abundant. So many things have happened to me since I have dedicated so much time into my thinking. And I think we don't realize the power of thought. And sometimes we don't even realize our thinking. We're just in such a go, 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 right? We got to wake up. We got to go to work. Hurry up, the traffic, F you, F this. Oh my God, you cut me off. So then here you are in this fucking rat race like everyone else. And I didn't understand that concept, but I do now. You're doing the same thing everyone's doing. A little soldier of this non-thinking factory. You're not thinking. You're programmed at this point. You know how to drive, right? You don't have to think of how to drive anymore. You don't have to think of how to get yourself home or to work, because they're patterns, right? Once the brain knows how to do something, it knows how to do it, and that's all. It doesn't waste its time and energy in creating a new path home. It knows how to get home. It's going to get you home. It's all about survival. So now you have to then teach it how to live. You have to then teach it how to be part of a world that we are not used to. So if you want to be happy, you have to think happy thoughts all the time. You can't say, oh, but how am I supposed to think happy thoughts if I live in a garage and, before I got divorced, I had a big ass house? Well, at one point, you thought that this person wasn't good enough and that you preferred to live by yourself. Now you're living by yourself in a fucking garage, probably, but you declared that. And that's one of the things that we don't realize, how strong our thinking is. So how did I kind of get better at my thoughts? By slowing down. Honestly, by slowing down. When I would drive to work, I wouldn't drive to work listening to the crap that I hear in the radio. I'd drive to work without anything. And it was amazing to hear myself talk to myself. And sometimes I would be fighting myself. And all I would do was driving. All I was doing was driving to fucking work. But it goes to show how strong your thinking is. It goes against you if you don't hold the rails. So, think yourself into existence, think yourself into love, think yourself into, compassion, think yourself into a new, more abundant world, something that you want, something that you deserve. And it will definitely get you there. Once again, your thinking is like a genie, okay? That is why it's very important to slow down. You have to watch what it is that you're putting out in the universe. What is it that you're asking? What is it that you're thinking? What is it? Because, you can tell someone like, oh, you look real good. And in the inside, you're like, oh my gosh, it looks like a fucking hot mess. Guess what? You are the hot mess. The hot mess is you. That is why you think those hot mess things. And guess what? Next week, a year later, someone else is going to look at you and be like, damn, bro, you look like a hot mess. Because you are declaring those things. But if you think to yourself and just be honest and say, you look beautiful, but the color doesn't look good. My opinion. And if she decides to take your opinion, cool. And if she doesn't, at the end of the day, that's your opinion. You just won't wear that color. It really is that simple. When I got it down, finally, I was like, no fucking way. It cannot be this easy. It cannot be this easy. But you know what? It's easy for me now. It's easier said than done, because when I was at that moment, it obviously took me years before I was able to slow down. But I definitely recommend it. I would definitely recommend, when you're driving, turn off the stereo and try to listen. Try to be as quiet as you possibly can and see what is your brain saying to you. Sometimes the brain is thinking of like the bill that I didn't pay. Well, you know what? Leave some space for your brain. Get a journal. Write down what it is that your brain is thinking about, so that you can allow your brain to think better things. Don't stress it out. Don't say, oh, oh, I was thinking of, what so-and-so said. Why are you still thinking about what so-and-so said? Why is it that you're driving to work thinking about this other person and their comments? You are wasting your energy, your thoughts into someone or something that doesn't matter. And once again, thinking is just a pillar of life. It's so interweaved, or whatever the word is, with what you say. I knew this was going to be such a complex word, but trying to narrow it down as small and short as I can so that you can understand. You can think sickness into existence. Who doesn't want to go to work? Sometimes you don't want to go to work. And you say, oh, you call in and you say, oh, I'm sick. I can't go to work today. You know damn well you're not sick. But guess what's going to happen? You're going to get sick now. Now you're going to get sick. Whether it's at that moment or a couple weeks from now, you will get sick. Something will happen to you. Unfortunately, sometimes it could just be a cold, or sometimes it could be something really big. Because that is how strong our thinking is. The more stronger you get with the frequency of what your thought is, the stronger and the faster you're going to be able to manipulate your reality. So moving forward, I would definitely recommend that you're constantly thinking good thoughts. If you don't know how to think good thoughts, listen to positive, motivational speeches, or attend some class, something that gets your mind away from what you usually do. If you're usually the stay-home mom, if you're usually having to cook and to clean, and you're usually doing these things, and at this point you're just like, I'm so over this, it's not what I want, you're still thinking of this negative loop. Well, you're gonna stay there because you're giving, you're like feeding that genie, saying, this is how I feel, this is what I'm thinking. So then the genie's gonna say, oh, your wish is my command. You're not happy, I'll give you more no happiness because you don't want to be happy. But if you're constantly reprogramming yourself and lying to yourself, saying, I am happy, I am beautiful, whatever, all of this, that's why affirmations are great. It's because you start to rewire your thinking, and you want to rewire your thinking. Your thinking has a lot to do, and your thinking reflects a lot in your body. A lot of people sometimes feel like, oh, I have this sickness. I'm not saying that medicine or pharmaceuticals or whatever, are not right sometimes, for sure, right? But also the way that we think, the unclogged, the negative patterns, it's gonna show in our body. It's gonna show in our skin. It's gonna show in our hair. Because we're not letting it out. We're not purifying our thoughts. And we have to purify our thoughts. Otherwise, once again, we're back in this rat race. We're back in this rat race of who's this, who's that, I'm better, I'm not, no, you're not better. It's always a comparison. You're always comparing. And that's what happened to me. In my relationship that I was in, I was always comparing the outside world without realizing I was creating my own world. So, and now if you ask me how's my relationship is bond.com. I have nothing bad to say about my relationship. It has changed. Why? Because the way that I think has changed. Very simple. I don't need him to, do something in particular. At first, I was like, oh, but he didn't go to school, and I'm going to college and I want more. It's like you always want more because you see that there's more. But I bet you if that was the only man on earth, you're going to be happy as fuck. It's all about your thinking. And it goes in any relationship, like I said, even the relationship you have with yourself. You can tell people like, oh, I feel good, but if the inside you don't feel good, you're just keeping it going. Sometimes that's the reason why it's better to let it out. Because when you let it out, you get to hear what's the real problem, and can I fix this problem? Is this problem fixable? Or is it just good for me to vent and then move forward? So, once again, there's a lot of words in here that I'm like, damn, I want to use later. But thinking is really complex. It's one word with a lot of strings attached to it, and you just gotta hold on the strings and say, I'm gonna think what I want to think. And it doesn't mean, okay, that when someone says, oh, what you're saying is rude or what you're saying is disrespectful, you're gonna sit in this monkey pride and ego and kind of just start spitting bananas at everybody. That's not how it's going to work. That's not what I'm saying either. What I am saying is understand who you are. Your thoughts. Do you believe you have to go to college? Or is that a programming that was set because your parents made you feel like you needed to go to college? Are these your thoughts? That is why I'm saying slow down. Make sure that what you're thinking, they are naturally and authentically who you are. Do you want to get married? Are these your thoughts of you wanting to get married? Or is it because your family is in this religion and the religion says you got to get married? Or what are people going to say? And that is why it's very important to slow down. To think, to be able to recognize what your thinking pattern is and change it. You really want to change your reality. You really have to change the way you think. There's just, unfortunately, no other way around it. I know that I went to a therapist for a little while, and I was diagnosed clinically depressed. So what happened is I kept saying like I am depressed and just handicapping my fucking self. And I decided that I was going to no longer be depressed, that I was going to figure out a way to help myself. And all I had to do was with my thinking patterns. I only felt depressed because I kept on thinking on the traumas that had happened to me when I was younger. I was only depressed because I kept on comparing my life to someone else's. Therefore, as soon as I started getting a grip of my own thoughts, that motherfucker left. And I'm not saying that depression doesn't have chemical imbalances and that some people, can have it really, really bad. That's not what I'm saying. But I am damn well saying that our body is able to heal itself with the mind. You have to be stronger. You have to know that you can heal yourself. You have to talk about the things that are stuck in there that need to come out. So I might have to do like another little part 2 on thoughts. I might have to bring someone else in so that we can kind of go back and forth, because just by myself, I can ramble and go around. But today being Thursday and the last day of the year, be very thoughtful on what you want. Be very thoughtful on how you want your life to be. Be very aware of your thoughts. So I really wish you guys have a good New Year's, and I will definitely be on here tomorrow. Just FYI, I will not be on here tomorrow at 10 because every Friday I have a class at 10, which I didn't obviously think of before. But I might either do 9 or 11 in which I go live. I'll send it over with the word of the day at 4 in the morning. But yes, have a thoughtful Thursday. Think into creation the things you desire, the things that you most want. So thank you so much. Have a great one. Love you guys, all of you guys. This world is only better because you're here. We learn from everyone, and I hope you guys get something from this. And I'll be back on tomorrow. Enjoy all the food and your family and whatever you can enjoy, right? You can enjoy it all. Whether they're with you, whether coronavirus is around or not, you can definitely enjoy it all because you're here, you're walking, and you're feeling, you're thinking, you're smelling. As long as you have your senses, you're good. Thank you.